Welcome everyone for session 2 of Intro to VJ Visual Arts with Brian Blair. My name is Aurelia Maraca. Once again, on behalf of the Danbury Library and the Friends of the Danbury Library, I welcome you to this second session in our 3-part series. So once again, Brian will send out links to anything that he discusses this evening in regards to downloads and everything. And once again, if there's any questions or anything, please type it in the chat and I will relay it to Brian. And everyone, Brian Blair, the comm is yours, sir.
Thank you, Aurelia. And thanks to the Danbury Public Library for doing this. I think this is one of the coolest things I've done in a while. And the video studio and recording studio that you're talking about, Aurelia, I can't tell you how much I wish there was something like that around when I was coming up in Danbury, because it would have
Same
been
here.
very well.
You and I were both music and audio, video guys. So
yeah, I mean, I I'd build a place to play like that, and be loud and rock out and do big video projects. And yeah, that's a great thing that you're doing. So I can't wait to check it out. So anyway, I want to thank everyone for joining us for session 2 of Intro to Visual Arts. I'm Brian Blair. I've worked in the music industry for over 20 years. I've done I found a niche in music festivals and production in that world. And I also do a lot of corporate and other consulting work. But basically I got my entire start through doing national music festivals and the video and design of those festivals. So I am originally from Bethel, but I hung around in the Danbury area, which is how I know Aurelio. And I'm just a big fan of the Danbury area community. So with that, this week, last week, just to go over what we talked about this cool little program called Eon that does these wireframe digitally generated visualizers for any type of audio that you throw through the input jack of your MacBook Pro. Super easy to just go anywhere and throw up a really nice visual show that is synced to audio. And it's a really cool tool, probably one of my favorites. And I'll include a link. I actually have a better link than the one that I supplied last week or last time. There's a landing page that actually spells out all the software and all the stuff it does, and there's a free and a pro version, and it's very reasonably priced, but you get some bells and whistles with that. This week, what I would like to talk about is this really cool program called Resolume, and this is cool. This is like basically the industry standard. The guys that I know who do VJ heavy, like they're on tour, they're doing this all the time, like that's all they do. They live, eat, breathe video jockey for live music. This is a tool that they would use. It's a little more complicated, but it can do some really cool things. And with that, I'm going to share my screen so you can get to know it a little better. There we go. Cool. All right. Aurelia, can you see my screen?
yes.
All right. I'm not seeing. All right. Can you see the Resolume page, or is it just a black page?
No, I see the Resolume.
Great. All right. I just want to make sure I'm sharing the right display. So Resolume has these 2 really awesome applications. And the one we're going to talk about today is Resolume Avenue VJ software. This is for Mac OS. I'm not sure if there's a Windows equivalent to this. but for now, I'm sure there is. I just don't know it. I'm totally a Mac guy, so for you PC guys, I will do some digging and see if I can find something, see what those VJ guys are using. But and the other side of this is the Resolume Arena Media Server. So the beauty of this software is instead of just wireframes and stuff that's digitally generated on the spot, it can use media footage. It can use any video file that you have, and you can arrange it in a way. Let me just open up Avenue. There we go. Boom. All right. So this is Resolume Avenue, and the way it works is it's, this is, and again, this is stock Resolume. I haven't thrown any video footage in this whatsoever. I just wanted to give you guys a real a walkthrough as what you can do. I just downloaded this for free. Didn't cost me anything. It's kind of heavy. It's a little over a gigabyte of an app, and it's almost 2 gigs sitting on your hard drive space. So not the smallest app. And basically what it does is it takes these video projectors and it puts them on layers. And in this one, I have 3 layers. There is a pro version, and I believe you can get more layers with the pro version. The other thing that this does is, of all these layers and all of these little video files that I have, you can do an autopilot mode for if you just want to throw something up at an art opening or a party or something. It'll just kind of do its own thing and shuffle all around whatever it's got. And in that mode, every minute or so, it would flash the Resolume VJ logo. That's it as far as cost for this application. So bang for the buck, I give it a 10 out of 10. So basically you can load a bunch of video files into this and then have them add layers to it and switch them all around and do some really, yeah, see, there's the logo. So it does that every once in a while on the free version. And you can layer some stuff. You can get some really cool looking stuff. It can get a little busy at times, but the fact that I can just kind of go over to my hard drive, I can just go and grab any, okay, hold on, my footage drives and all. Yeah. Let's see. There we go, stock. So I can grab any video stock that I've downloaded from anywhere and just find something. Just load that in there and have that. So this is a poor example because it's just some cityscape, but you can imagine if you go out and produce video for this, not just video, if you produce motion graphics or video with this end result in mind, you can get some pretty mind-blowing results. So beyond just being able to layer them and do some cool stuff with it, there are a bunch of yeah, let me get it, let's see, stand by, view. So of these, it may be a little hard to see, but we'll, you can have all these controls over what you're doing. Let's calm this down. So you can throw an RGB channel on it. Play with the hue. Distort it. Flip it around, kind of clone it like that, make a little kaleidoscope out of it. So you can get some really cool effects if you start playing with this stuff. And there are some presets too. One thing I really love about this section here that I'm kind of not doing it justice because I don't have, there's some MIDI controllers out there. And again, I'll include some links that can do this. And you can get these on MIDI knobs. So you can actually start to perform with this thing and really make some real, do a little better than just what a mouse can do. Let's see. A bit bigger. There we go. Actually, let's do this. That's better. So now we can see all the controls and what it's doing. So again, you can solo stuff, you can mute stuff, and you can combine all these things at the same time. You can also cut stuff off there. So a lot more possibilities and a lot more expression than what you can get with a tool like Eon. And I can't stress enough that if you create motion graphics and video that has a certain motif or the same DNA within all of it, and it's all meant to mesh together, this really becomes a really cool tool for VJing. Let's find some other cool stuff. Here we go. So this is just like a little motif I put together for something else. A lot of this footage I get from, well, Adobe stock is really cool. I really prefer some of that stuff, although sometimes it gets a little corporate. Another really good source for footage is Storyblocks. Is really good and has some really cool, somewhat abstract stuff that's good for this sort of thing. Although it's a paid, that's more of a subscription, which is cool because you pay once and you can download all the stuff, and they don't throttle you the way Envato kind of has the same product, but if you start to download too much stuff, they start throttling you. So Storyblocks is my preferred favorite place to go and get footage for this kind of abstract stuff. One really cool source that I like to go to is the Internet Archive, which is kind of like one of the oldest websites on the internet. And it does things like it has the Wayback Machine where they've pretty much screenshotted every website that's been on the internet since the dawn of time. And you can go back and see what old websites, you can see like what the first Google made, but they also have the Internet Archive has archived like just so much stuff. There's like songs, there's whole concerts up there, and there's a whole lot of old school footage. And some of it's really cool. There's a lot of stuff up there though. So, and if you have the time to wade through that, it's a resource for some pretty neat stuff. It's kind of like It's kind of like the microfiche machine at the library, you know, like you got to go through a whole bunch of stuff, but you will find some cool stuff. So beyond just video files, there are these down here where you can do AV, where this has got audio to it, although for some reason output device. Yeah, so all right, I have to put a stop to that because first of all, that's just a little painful to go to, but you get the point. You can put music to all of these, and it kind of takes on that Ableton feel where you can set up audio clips with video clips and then play them on like an Ableton type controller and do performance art, both music and video. So this is where it gets really fun. Again, I wouldn't go out with this stock thing and do a performance with it by any stretch of the imagination. I would create a bunch of loops that are all in the same vein and all kind of are meant to marry one together, and then just, you know, go out and have fun with it, and have the accompanying videos to match. You can see down here, I have, right now this is 128. So it's all meant to kind of stay on the same BPM. You can't really do much wrong with it. You can just kind of switch it up and it stays on beat. So really cool function of Resolume, kind of performance-y. To add another layer to it. I can mute like maybe just a video from here and just go with the layers 1 and 2. So really cool tool for controlling both the audio and visual experience. But again, it's a little bit harder because you have to make your own loops. This is great for somebody who is super into GarageBand. I've spent some time, you just export your GarageBand loops and right into this thing, and then you can just kind of reconstitute them in this along with a video show, and it just adds a lot more depth to whatever you're doing. And one other part of this interface that I think is important to go through, and I'm going to go back to this stuff just because it's a lot easier without the audio and everything. So
So here I can layer two pieces. Let's get something that's a little more. And then there's this, it's compositing drop down here where you get all these different, how it's going to react with the layer beyond it. So this is dissolve. You can start to see it. It starts to react differently to its neighbor. This is dodge. Some of them don't do anything. You gotta play with it, and although they do the same thing, all the different footage is gonna react differently. Let's get, that's hard light. Do like some glitchy stuff.
Resolume Avenue.
This is multiply. I really like multiply just because it's a nice subtle effect and it really marries whatever you're doing. The other one, I mean, the default is add, but you know, you'll get through these and you'll just kind of see what works for you and whatever your style is, whatever your footage is. So screen is another one I like. Subtract. So they're basically, if you know, this is the same compositing that happens in Photoshop, After Effects, and really any, like, you know, Final Cut Pro. It's basically how the layers are going to interact with each other. So a really cool way of just making effects there.
Resolume Avenue.
So beyond, so we talked about the shop and the AV. Beyond that, there are generators. And you can also mix and mingle a lot of these together and just kind of this is more of the computer aided wireframe stuff, the visualizer like Eon, like, so this is all kind of canned stuff, but it can be really useful, especially when composited the right way. Let's see. Let's do
Resolume Avenue.
You know what? Let's go there. Shift RGB is always a fun toy to play with. And then with this, you can A/B stuff. So I set up that, set up this, and you can A/B settings.
Resolume Avenue.
And then you can make as many of these as you want. So you can set up as many of your own little motifs as you want, and then stack them on top of one another. It's pretty much limitless when it comes to that. I will say it's really good. You have to have a nice, chunky, and fast hard drive in order for this to happen reliably. I have seen this, especially on laptops, when you just take a laptop and you take just like a normal hard drive. I would highly recommend using SD drives. but I've seen this with old 7,200 RPM drives, and it really starts to lag and doesn't perform well. So does anyone have any questions?
We have one, someone's trying to download it and you're having some issues.
It, like I said, it is over. It's over a gig. I don't know what your connection's like, but I downloaded this on this computer earlier tonight. Normally this lives on my laptop, but I decided to put it on my workstation for this purpose. Is it just going slow, or is it they're just not having? It's not starting.
It's saying it won't download.
Ooh.
That would be something I would try to reach out to the Resolume,
Resolume Avenue.
to those guys to see if there's any issues, and also maybe what kind of device you're using.
Yeah, I would make sure that you have enough hard drive space, that you got a good, like, I would say at least that you have like, a couple gigs worth. Maybe empty your trash and see if it works again. Or, one of my favorite troubleshooting tips of all time is try a different browser. That a lot of times works for me.
Yeah, sometimes like a difference between like Chrome and another browser, it makes total.
Yeah, usually Firefox is the tiebreaker of the two, but I've been switching between Chrome, Brave, and Firefox lately.
We have another question. Can you automate changes to dashboard effects?
Yes, you can. So with the Midi controllers, you can sequence a lot of different changes. Yeah, and you can save those sequences and recall them at any time. So that's a good question, because a lot of these, especially for when you start talking about touring national gigs, where their video show, their projector show goes to the performance, and it's all set up like that, and all those sequences are saved, and so this is the touring guy, the touring VJ's tool. Let's see, let's see if I can demonstrate that a little bit. The sequencers.
Resolume Avenue.
Normally, yeah, edit. So you can, yeah. So here's, where is it? Beats that. I think that's something that I will look into, and we will do on the last installment of this series, because that's a really good question, and I definitely know it's possible, but I'm gonna dig into that a little more. Me personally, I just kind of jump in this thing and play with it. I'll map my footage, like all these. So I'll do these as like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the keyboard, on the new numbers, and then like this will be Q, W, E, R, T, Y, so on and so forth. And I'll basically use my keyboard like an Ableton controller with this. But I definitely know, and especially with the right Ableton controller, you can sequence this and record your settings. So are there any other questions?
I have a question. Just for like the sake of if someone wanted to start off and do some sort of like performance piece, sort of like a an outside sort of art exhibit, of like their stuff, or like these visuals and everything, for some sort of a festival or gathering and everything. can you just use like, say, like your laptop and, get some, a really good portable projector and maybe just sort of like project the image on the side of a building or, some sort of like screen?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's what this is kind of perfect for. Although I will say, especially with things like, I wouldn't use just any laptop. So this is a pretty resource intensive program. Right now I have this running on a Mac Pro, one of the big cheese grater looking, the new Macs. And then I've run this on my 17 or my 15-inch MacBook Pro. The MacBook Pro does well. I'm going to go back to my previous statement. I think the hard drive makes all the difference. Like how it's accessing the assets makes a huge difference. So if that starts getting a little sticky, then the application doesn't work well at all. But as long as you have a decent laptop, the engine will run pretty good. I think where it gets, where you need a real monster computer is when you have all of these columns and, you can set up other ones too. Just, you can like add new columns, and color code them and whatnot. But anyway, so if you have like column, 12, 14, 16, 18 here, 18 here, 18 here, and then you have 32 more of these, and every time this program loads up, it has to go and get all that footage. Because right now what it's doing, like in the case of here, especially this, so in the case of this is going onto my SSD footage drive and playing this. So it's loading this into it, into its memory. And that, when you get 32 banks of 20 columns and 3 layers deep, it really starts to bog down. So when using laptops, I like to keep it simple and I like to keep it overkill. So I'll use my best laptop, my best hard drives, and I'll keep my setup simple.
We have a question. Can you use a devoted device for caching and scratch disks, such as a SSD?
That's a very good question. And to be honest,
Resolume Avenue.
I'm
And
not sure about the
from,
caching.
separate from project files, Brian.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. That's so these are the settings. We can just cruise through them.
Resolume Avenue.
So as far as, so there's no performance thing. These are my basic audio input, audio output, my master channels. I can have a separate output as far as video, so I can have a video monitor with me, as in say a front of house situation. I don't see something for scratch disks. So here's the MIDI input. So that gets into the sequencing. File output, recording video only. These codecs would affect performance. File output directory. So this is interesting. So there's a file output directory, which I bet if I go to this
Resolume Avenue.
So this is probably, yeah, so it's writing little files to here, composition, preferences, presets. This, it's not rendering anything here right now. For safe measure, I would make sure that this, whatever this output directory is, and this is more for the recordings and stuff.
So you can set this to record your performance and then output it as a wave. So still you'd want that to be a fast drive. Your codec is X3 format. No, there are no scratch disks. So I know the more video RAM and the more RAM you have in the machine makes a huge difference in performance here. So let's see. Let's just do this for a minute because I don't need audio from this. And I don't need that guy interrupting us every 30 seconds. So yeah, no to the scratch drive. And the caching, I imagine it just uses, the hard drive of the machine it's sitting on.
We have another question, Brian. Would by any chance this work with Serato lighting or Serato DJ tables?
I believe you can use them as audio inputs. And Serato, I'm not sure if Serato pumps out time code, but not MIDI. So another great question. I would say import compositions and presets. Let's see. So I know you get MIDI in MIDI devices. I'm not sure if there's a free frame plugin for that. Although this is interesting because there's an external audio FFT that's a free frame template input. So you know what? For this one, let's just do a quick Google box search. So there are people doing this. However, I will say there's an equal amount of people who are having issues with it. So I'm going to say yes, but do some research first. It looks like it is possible, but when the first link is their support forums, I would do a little bit of reading first. But yeah, I'm going to say yes. That's a really good. I never thought of actually syncing it to Serato, and now I want to try that. So,
Do we have any more questions? Just type it into the chat.
one thing I will go over, and just getting out of Resolume for a quick second, but still on the visual graphics tip, one thing that, I was saying a lot that if you make footage with kind of the same DNA, the same look and feel throughout, or meant to be married to one another, and you make footage like that, one thing I do a lot of is I'll just open up Final Cut, and I'll just grab some generators. You can just grab something like oh, let me get this to show. Let's see. Let's see. Well, anyway, for some reason.
Another question, Brian,
Sure.
would this work with iMovie? I usually like making my own movies. It would be cool if I had a 30-second video from Avenue from one of them. Is it possible?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, totally. So iMovie is very, very close. In fact, it is the there it is. It is the cousin of Final Cut. So Final Cut was originally iMovie. And that's what, so here, basically I can, let's make a new 1080p format. Stereo. Huh, that's a video I did for a dentist. Let's see.
Thought it was DJ Qbert.
What's that?
Thought it was DJ Qbert. You ever seen that video? He's wave twisters.
Yeah, I know. I love that video.
That's an awesome video.
Yeah, that is. That's
Anybody who's interested in DJing VJ, check out Wave Twisters by DJ Qbert. It's really crazy, really bizarre. It's something that you can totally make with, at home with a studio, also with a friend who's an animator. And if you're afraid of going to the dentist, there's some crazy scenes.
Oh, let's see. I just want to. I'm trying to get it so you can see all of it. I have this set up for like for a 3-screen monitor. I'm only sharing one, so you're only getting part of the picture here. And I want to. Boom. There we go. All right. So let's get out of the weird dentist video thing. And just do a new Untitled 1080p project. And for this, we're going to go over to the generators tab. So again, we're in Final Cut Pro. I just opened up a new project. And one thing like I'll do is I'll just go and I'll throw so there's all these generators and you can adjust all of, the scale and you can crop, distort. You have all the Final Cut tools you can use to rotate it. And again, and you can pile stuff on top of one another too. Like one thing I really like is this, the underwater thing. And just like Resolume, the compositing, so I can go down here to add or multiply would probably be good to this. Let's try something else. Let's try screen and bump down the opacity a little bit. You can start to get this underwater type thing. Adjust to taste, whatever you want to do. But then I can, I can go over here and I can play with these parameters and switch this up to, something else. You go a little darker blue. And make my own clips, Now, the only thing I'll mention, one thing I really like to do, especially one trick that I like to do is whenever I know I'm going to output something and I do it for a loop, especially when it's this kind of abstract stuff, add some rays and stuff to it. No, that's conscious. All right. So one thing I'll do, and I know it's going to loop, so I'll copy this, paste it here, modify, right. Oh, you know what? it's a generator. My bad. If this were video, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll copy them and then reverse them. So this point and this point are exactly the same. However, these actually aren't video files. They're generator files, and they don't reverse like that. So, you know, something like this, I would output, you know, maybe just that. Just the other one, and then export them into video files. Oh wait, I turned off this one. Come over here to my, spit it out on my footage drive. Oh, you know what? It's not that. I'm going a little fast here. There it is. All right. Apparently you have to wait for it to actually render before you can throw it in. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, I know one. Let me go back here. There we go. Resolume does not like certain video compression files. So I've had luck with MP4s. It does not like M4Vs for some reason. So that's a little tip for that. But basically, you come in. Little dark, but you know, that's basically the recipe. So I'll usually just go in, I'll go into Final Cut Pro and I'll lay out my, you know, whatever I'm trying to do, and I'll lay out my clips and make them, you know, right now I'm just playing with default Final Cut Pro. So I like to show you guys, you know, it makes no sense for me to show you a bunch of stuff that I worked on, but if you have Final Cut Pro, all these clips and all these generators are built into it. I think I have a couple plugins going on here, but not much. You can do titles and stuff.
It really opens things up, especially if you're coming from iMovie. I always, like, you know, started off in iMovie and then like imported into Final Cut, and it just opens up the possibilities, whether it be visually or audio and everything. There's so much you can do with it.
One other really good link I'm going to give you. So if you like iMovie and you don't want to pay $300 for Final Cut Pro, Davinci Resolve is where to go. So this is the free version of Final Cut Pro. And in fact, I just got done working on a movie where the guy out in LA who did the color for this, I do motion graphics and I do editing, doing color for movies and commercials and all that. It's an art form in and of itself. It's so deep, I can't even start to get into
Huge.
color
It's huge.
treatment of video is like frame by frame artwork that I had no idea until I got slingshotted into this world where I was producing this high output video, and the guy did like Beyonce videos and all this stuff. The guy was super pro and a pleasure to work with, and he did everything in Davinci Resolve. They're not using Avid anymore. They're not using any Apple products. They're just using this. And I was surprised by that, but then I downloaded it because, well, I had to in order to get along with the rest of the team on this project. But I was shocked at how deep and how pro this application is. And the cool thing is it's made by this company, Blackmagic Design, which in every video truck I've ever worked in, every $1 million production I've ever worked on, there's always Blackmagic Design decks. So they make really great recording decks. They make these control surfaces that you see, huge money. They make great displays. Like they are the industry standard in this field. This is it. This looks like an audio mix. And this is absolutely free. They put out this great piece of software just to boast how awesome their hardware was. And it's working because you can just come to somewhere on here. This looks like a lot of these are their consoles, their color panel. All right, so here's the software right at the bottom. There's Davinci Resolve, which this is what I downloaded, and I just ran it on my laptop. It did absolutely everything I needed to do a full-fledged project. And then there's Davinci Resolve Studio, which again, same price as Final Cut, basically. So if you guys want some really pro tools for low cost, here, I will put this in the chat right now. Huh.
How much space does it take up on the on your hard drive, Brian?
Good question. Stand by. Applications should be Blackmagic. Oh, you know what? I have it on my laptop. It is Vinci Resolve. It's 1.79 gigabytes. So not terribly, and we have just a little bit of time left, and I'm really open to answering any questions that arise, and I don't have a hard out or anything. So
yeah, if anyone has any questions, I know it's getting a little late, but please, check out Davinci Resolve. It's free. Use it, play around with it. It's something to behold.
I'm just going to skip that for now. So this is it. It looks almost identical to Final Cut.
Yep. Yeah. it
The
looks
only
just
thing
like
I'll
it.
say is Final Cut kind of does have better, it does kind of have better transitions and but this is, so this is like the timeline. If you come down here to you can set this thing, the color correction suite in this software just absolutely made my head spin once I started getting into it. I can't even say enough good things about Davinci Resolve. So for those bold enough to adventure, check it out.
Brian, I think you're absolutely correct on that. Is this industry standard? Anyone I've talked to or has worked on a professional Hollywood movie, they do the color correction all in DaVinci. They don't even touch Final Cut or any other. And everybody's moving away from Avid and everything. So this
Yeah.
is it.
Yeah, these are the video scopes. I did a crash course on color correction, and all of them did this. All of them used DaVinci. So great tool. Any questions?
Any questions, anyone? Before we wrap up, it's getting to the 10 o'clock hour. And most of us
All right.
are waiting to, turn in or, call it an evening. But before we leave, I'm just going to put in the chat the link to the third final session in this wonderful series brought to you by the Danbury Library and presented by Brian Blair. So please click on it, register. And
I'm gonna paste the link to Davinci Resolve is right there.
excellent.
So
Please download it. It's less than 2 gigs.
yeah, it's a great tool to have fun with, and download Resolume too, another
Yep.
really fun application to play with. And if anyone has any questions or anything, they can either reach out to Aurelio, or my website is, or my email is brian@supermegapixel.com, and you can reach out to me there.
Awesome. So thank you, everyone. We'll see you in 1 month for the session 3 of Intro to VJ Visual Basics. And from the Danbury Library and myself, we wish you a pleasant good evening.
Thanks, Aurelio. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. You're always a great resource and asset for all of us.
I'm really enjoying it, man. So I look forward to the next one.
Definitely.
All right. You have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.